I'm a cartoonist on the side of my job, and I have always loved New Yorker cartoons, and
Me too.
that's very similar to the style of Grapevine cartoons. So a couple of years ago, it just occurred to me, oh, this could be an act of service to just submit some cartoons. So I did, and it's been going on for a couple of years now, I guess. That's a service position I love.
I heard it through the grapevine. Welcome. It's the AA Grapevine half-hour variety hour featuring the collected voices of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Don, an alcoholic in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Howdy, Don. Hey, everybody. I'm Sam. I'm an alcoholic in Palm Springs, California.
Hiya, Sam.
Good to see you, Mr. Don.
It's good to see you. It's a new month.
No, already?
Yes, it's a new month, and you know what that means.
Well...
You get to put on a new pair of underwear. No, the new grapevines are here. Sound the trumpets, blow your horns, squeeze your bagpipes.
Oh, now that sounded like a rusty cat.
The main topic this month is AA and families. Alcoholism takes its toll on families in so many complicated and painful ways. But when a member makes it to AA, they can find hope. Our fellowship has amazing tools to repair damaged relationships, but it can take time. This month, we feature powerful stories by moms, sons, daughters, husbands, and sisters who found hope, healing, and a better way to live.
In Just Like Dad, a member talks about resisting AA after growing up in an AA household. When the time finally comes to ask for help, though, it's his father he talks to. After the article, there's a discussion topic based on the story. It makes for a great meeting, reading the piece together and then opening it up with questions like, are there other alcoholics in your family? And how has that affected family life?
I've never been to a grapevine meeting where they read an article and then did a discussion. Every month, there's always a little blurb at the end that has discussion topics based on a story. And I just think it'd make a great meeting. I'm going to have to start a new meeting in Greensboro.
We've got one here in Palm Springs.
In Family Storm, a brother says his home was a drunken tornado growing up, but miraculously, most of his family made it to AA.
In Finding the Balance, a dad shares how he learned to weigh the importance of spending time with his family and doing AA service.
Sam, you know I'm a connoisseur of the Grapevine cartoons. I just love them, and they're submitted by members of the fellowship. And this month has a good one. On page 20, I think it'll work in audio, so I'm going to give it to you. On page 28, Two fellows are sitting on a park bench, and one says, as an alcoholic, I have a problem with two things: change and the way things are.
That's a dad joke illustrated.
It is.
I do want to call you out for misrepresenting yourself, though. You are not a connoisseur. You are a fanboy.
Yeah, that's true enough.
And as always, there's an article on one of the traditions. This month, it's Tradition 3. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. The podcast has also started a new monthly segment on using the traditions in our lives. So listen for that later this month.
The first of the month, our guest is always an author in the new issue. And today's guest is Jeff C. in Vancouver, British Columbia. He wrote Just Like Dad. It's on page 10 in the March 2026 issue.
But first,
the news. Breaking news. Announcing our new Grapevine Weekly Open AA meeting every Wednesday at noon Eastern Time.
We'll feature a host and two speakers each week, including Grapevine article contributors, AA members, and trusted servants. All are welcome. Don't miss this.
It's an online speaker meeting. Find the link in our Instagram account. Search for AA Grapevine. You'll find it.
The Zoom meeting ID is 871-2036-8287. Passcode 238047.
And are Wednesdays not a good time? You can catch the meeting on our new podcast and on YouTube.
Sweet.
I went to the Grapevine meeting last Wednesday, and it was great. It's 2 speakers. Your camera's off, so you just sit and listen to the 2 speakers. So it's a speaker meeting, and I didn't realize it, but I'm going to start bringing my lunch and eat my lunch and listen to an AA meeting.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's good.
I might have to eat my breakfast to an AA meeting.
You are in a different time zone.
I'm in so many kinds of different zones.
You're in a different
I'm
zone.
in the Twilight Zone. What are the Grapevine's most popular books? Emotional Sobriety 1 and 2. Both are filled with experiences by sober AA members, many with long-term sobriety, about the positive transformations we can achieve by practicing the principles of the program in all aspects of our lives. The stories show how the rewards are serenity, emotional balance, and an increased joy for living. Visit aagrapevine.org/books.
Hi, I'm Jeff C. I'm an alcoholic, and I'm in Vancouver, Canada. My sobriety date is March 24th, 2007, and my home group is Golden Key. We meet every Tuesday night at 7:30 at the Fairview Baptist Church on 16th Avenue in Vancouver.
What type of meeting is that?
It's a discussion meeting. We just sort of have a chairperson every meeting, a new one every meeting, and they just pick people from the room. And if you take your cake, one of the things that people, especially new people, are freaked out about is when you stand up in front of the room, there's no podium. So you're just there, and what you learn over years of being in Golden Key is what to do with your hands while you're sharing. So, I've been there a while. I still don't know.
So can you juggle now?
That's next year. When I'm an old timer, I will be juggling, yes.
There you go. There you go.
One of the things I love about Golden Key too, that everyone always mentions, is we do have a fireplace. So there's always in the winter, there's a nice fire going while the meeting's on. It's a great room.
Is everyone nice about wrestling for position near the fireplace, or is it really not that nice?
It's pretty cutthroat. No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Get there early, get a good seat on the hearth.
There you go.
Well, Jeff, what was going on with you in 2007 that gave you the idea that you needed to go to an AA meeting?
I guess the short version is I ran out of gas. I'd been drinking since I was 13. I have a dad in AA. He sobered up when I was 10. And at first it was fantastic. I thought I had my dad back, and we were really close. But then I turned 13, which seems to be the magical age when everyone starts drinking. At my 13th birthday party in our house with my dad, who's 3 or 4 years in AA, sitting upstairs, and we had a bunch of drunk kids downstairs. My Al-Anon mom came home and rounded everybody up. And it was a disaster.
Where are you getting the alcohol at age 13?
You find a way.
Yeah.
I went to a new school when I was 13, and I met up with all the bad kids who I desperately wanted to like me. So I invited them to my birthday party, and they came with booze, and I got drunk for the first time, and it was, like I say, a disaster. My mom came home from her Al-Anon meeting, rounded everybody up, and I was just ostracized at school after that.
Oh, man.
But I could not wait to drink again.
What did that drinking do for you?
I was such an awkward kid, so shy. But that night when I was drunk, I felt 10 feet tall. I could talk to girls. I could talk to anybody. Everything was great. And I was so hungover the next morning and in so much trouble. But all I could think about was getting drunk again. I just loved it. I found this magical way to fit into the world. I did anything I could through high school to get my hands on booze, to be drunk. I used to keep a 26er of vodka in my locker. It really became, for me, my identity. And I barely made it out of high school. And then I think about a year or two later, I got married. I tried going to college. That didn't work because I was always at the bar that let me in. I was still underage. So we're 3 years in, and the marriage just falls apart. And then my drinking really picked up. The next person I was in a relationship for 13 years with, and she became my drinking buddy. She had a young daughter who became my daughter. And a couple years later, my son came along. And through it all, booze was the most important thing in my life. So my life progressed at that point. We ended up buying a house. I bought a minivan in my 20s, which was weird. And I had a career. And all of these things were things that I didn't really choose. They were things that just happened to me.
What were you drinking during that time?
I like to pretend I was a fancy drunk.
Yeah.
So I would buy 2 bottles of really good wine and 2 bottles of junk wine. The first 2 bottles were for the beginning of the evening.
When you could taste.
And the last 2 were for the end of it. Yeah. They
Oh
were
my
just volume.
God. I did something similar as well. Oh, that is so fun.
Yeah. I'm drinking every night. I am the kind of drunk who liked to get drunk every night.
Mhm.
I didn't want to drink everything in town. I just wanted enough that I passed out. And so for me, that progressed. So that started off as maybe a 6-pack and a bottle of wine to 2 bottles of wine and a 6-pack to then I did progress to scotch by the end of my drinking.
At any point during all of this, did you recognize what was going on?
I knew I was an alcoholic, and I actually knew in high school. I had a drinking buddy in high school, and we used to cut class and we'd go somewhere. And at one point, I remember looking at him and saying, "Hey, are we alcoholics?" And he just said, "Shh, drink." And I always remembered that.
Not if you don't talk about it.
And I knew, and going back to my childhood, I was surrounded by AA. I had grapevines on the back of the toilet. We had AA quilted sayings that my dad's friends would give him on his anniversary. And my mom and dad would constantly be dropping "easy does it" and "keep it simple" and all kinds of phrases, usually yelling them at us when we had done something wrong. My mom screaming "Serenity now" whenever she got mad at my brother or I.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it got to the point where I was just so resentful at AA. I didn't know really what AA was beyond the sayings and the grapevines at the time, but I was very resentful of it. I felt my dad was quite sanctimonious. I thought it was just some goody two-shoes organization where you all tried to psychoanalyze each other. I didn't really know what it was, but I knew it wasn't for me. And I knew I was going to be, even though I knew I was an alcoholic, I knew that I could handle it. I was going to be what I think of as a hilarious thing, a functional alcoholic.
Well, that's great. If you can do that, do that. That's the message of AA. Go ahead. If you can manage it, manage it.
That's exactly right. If that's for you, then great. I couldn't do it. And as my kids got older, drinking became the most important thing. There's one story from that time that I usually use to illustrate that. We lived in the suburbs, and my partner and I, we both worked in the city, and we only had one car. So we would commute together back and forth. And as my kids got a bit older, my son was 12 years old, 11 years old, and was going to school, and he had asked us if he could go home alone. His sister was going to be out somewhere else, and he said, "Can I just go home alone? I'll look after myself until you get home." And it was the first time we were doing that, and we said, "Okay, but you got to call us when you get home." Never got a call. Couldn't get a hold of him. Didn't know where he was. Phoned all of his friends, and he wasn't anywhere. We were freaking out.
Wow.
So we were racing home after work, phoning everybody frantically, trying to find him. And we're at the point where my partner was phoning the police to give a description of what he was wearing that day, just in case. The whole time we're driving home, I'm thinking, I need to make a pit stop at the beer and wine store. I've got to get a couple of bottles, because no matter how this turns out, I'm going to need a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell that story in AA rooms, and I say, "And I love my kids."
Yeah.
And everyone gets it.
Yeah.
If I'm telling that story outside of AA, I'm saying, "But I love my kids." Alcoholics understand that we can love our families, and we need that drink.
Yeah.
And that's where I was at. And slowly over time, the wheels were coming off of everything. The marriage was disintegrating. I was having an affair and had been caught in that affair, which had been tied to my drinking. My kids, because of that, were no longer talking to me. The house was falling apart. The car was falling apart. Everything was there, but it was all kind of crumbling.
Mm.
And I was just talking about this morning with my wife about how at that time, there was no sort of big hitting bottom moment for me. In fact, after all the stuff that had gone on in my marriage, I was living on the bottom for the longest time. And in fact, if I ask my kids, they will say that last year was the worst for them. I would wake up every morning and swear I was never going to drink again or that I was going to get a handle on it. But then by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that bell would go off in my head. And I would think, it wasn't that bad. I mean, you know what would help? What would really take the edge off this? Just go get a bottle. Just one though. And that'll help. And during that time too, because my partner was also my drinking buddy, as I said, we would wake up every now and again and have that talk with each other. We have to stop doing this. We can't keep going this way. And we would whip ourselves into a frenzy and we would go to an AA meeting.
Oh, wow.
And we went together probably on 4 separate occasions. And we would go to a meeting. We, in fact, went to Golden Key, my home group. I was probably about 35 at this point. So we went in. I remember going into Golden Key with her, actually. And I was terrified. Everyone was happy. Everyone was smiling and talking to each other. Everyone seemed well-adjusted. Nobody looked like an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And, for those few times that we would go to AA, it felt like holding my breath. It felt like if I could just hold my breath long enough, that's how long I could stay sober. And the longest I think I got at that time was 2 weeks. I made it 2 weeks, and then I couldn't cut it anymore, and then I would have to drink again. So like I say, things were getting really bad at home. Things were falling apart. And we went to this party one night, and I came home and stopped and got more booze on the way home. And I was sitting there and I thought, I promised myself that I was only going to drink on weekends. And I've been drunk every night for the last 2 weeks. So I noticed that it was picking up. And so I was drunk at the time. And I thought, it felt like a new thought. I think I need help. That felt new to me, even with, my dad's AA, knowing what the program was. It felt like a new thought. And so I said, I'm going to go to a meeting on my own to her. And she said, do what you want. I'm out. I'm not doing it. And she also said, what are you talking about? If you quit drinking, we won't, that's what we do together. We drink together.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it isn't. We do other things. It turns out she was right. That was what we did together. So I went to a meeting on my own the next night, terrified. Still couldn't talk to people. The booze is gone now, at least for that day. And I didn't have the armor to look people in the eye or to be able to talk to them. But they were so nice. It was a small meeting. I wanted to disappear in a big meeting, but as it turns out, I walked into a meeting with 10 people. And they were so great to me. And I had, shaky voice and the whole bit. And one of them bought me a big book. And one of them encouraged me to come back the next week.
Did you drink again?
I did, actually. I went out once. I was sober for a month. And I got to the end of the month. And the whole time, my drinking buddy was like, wouldn't this be nice? What about tough. One of these?
That's tough.
After about a month, I just thought, fine, I'll do it. It wasn't her decision. It wasn't that she made me do anything. I actually was on my own. It was after work, and I went to a bar around the corner from my work, and I ordered a pint, and I sat it on the bar in front of me, and I stared at that thing for about 20 minutes before I took a sip.
That doesn't sound like fun.
It was not a good time. And then eventually I just drank it. And then that night I drank as hard as I usually drank. As I recall drinking, that's how I drank. And I've never been more hungover or more sick in my life. Apparently, the liver starts to repair itself pretty quickly. So I woke up the next morning and that was a real bottom. I've never been more depressed than I was that morning. I've never felt worse than I did that morning.
Mm.
And the thought came to me that alcohol doesn't do what I thought it did. And so
Interesting.
that was a seed. And here's the funny thing. So at this point, I had a home group. I ride a motorbike, but I am not what you would call a biker. But I did find a group called Sober Riders here in Vancouver. And I thought, oh, people who ride motorcycles. And so I went to that meeting. This is prior to me going out. And they welcomed me with open arms. They were bikers. They were bikers, but they were all sober people. And they were very loving. And one guy came up to me and said, "Do you have a sponsor?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You do now." And I thought, okay. And so he became my sponsor. So I went to that meeting for that month. Then I drank. And then I felt so bad about drinking. I did all the self-pitying things that people do, that we do when we go out. I've ruined it. I've wrecked it. What's the point? I later come to realize that was a great way for my alcoholism to just get me to keep drinking. You messed up, you might as well. That whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I felt sorry for myself. So I went for a motorbike ride a couple days later, and I ended up out in a little town called Fort Langley, which is way out in the sticks here. And I was walking around in that town, and I came around the corner, and there's my sponsor. So he had gone for a ride too, and he ended up there. And I thought, okay, this is my higher power showing off.
Yeah.
And I told him what had happened. I told him I went out, and I expected him to be angry with me and tell me how much I messed up. And all he said was, "Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to keep going, or are you going to come to a meeting?" And I thought, "Oh, that's it." He said, "Okay, I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow night." And that was it. And I haven't had a drink since.
Oh,
And
Jeff, I got chills listening to that bit.
Yeah, that's
I
excellent.
absolutely love that.
yeah,
you got a sponsor at that point, and you've stayed sober ever since.
I have. That's right.
Like, what's one thing that happened while you've been sober that you consider to be an epiphany, like you could not imagine that happening to you?
There's so many. I love the sponsor I have today. He says an epiphany is something that comes to you out of the blue that he's been telling me for the last 6 months.
Oh my God, I love that.
That's great.
There are so many things. My sobriety is, I would call, of the educational variety.
Mhm.
It's been a slow burn. I always say, like, sobriety is slow work, especially for me. I get things in bits and pieces. And I was surprised at how stubborn and reluctant I was when I first came in to do the work. But once I finally got to that point, things would happen. I grew up in AA. I learned how to, even though I had a family and a job and all these things, I grew up. I learned how to face situations. I learned how to be on my own. That was one thing. I was terrified of being alone. And in fact, I see this with a lot of guys that I sponsor. We're afraid of ourselves. We're afraid of our heads. We're afraid of, not being loved and being alone. And I learned how to do that and learned that I am not alone, actually. When I came to AA, I also, for whatever reason, as being surrounded by my dad and AA as a kid, the God thing kind of escaped me. And so when I came to AA, I noticed there was a lot of mention of God, and I thought, oh no, this is not for me. But it really is. I let go of all those things, and I had no choice. I had to, because I couldn't do it on my own. The whole point of the program is that I develop and grow a relationship with my higher power. That's the whole point of it. It says in the book. And that's been something that has grown for me over the years. I have a meditation practice now that I never had before.
Can you think of an instance where something was about to happen that you had to let go of and was like,
Yes.
I can't do this because if I do, it's going to be terrible, and you have found that working the steps is a different outcome?
Yeah. The biggest one that comes to mind is my wife today, who was also in the program. We were dating, and I could not believe that she liked me. She was just she is and was an amazing woman. And I was so full of fear that I was going to break this relationship early on, that I was breaking it. I was trying to, there was one night we had a misunderstanding around something innocuous, and I kept trying to fix it. And the more I tried to fix it, the worse it got. And at one point I thought, I think I'm going to go outside and phone my sponsor. So I did. So I went outside and I phoned him and I told him what was going on. And he said, everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to. If it's meant to end, it's meant to end, but you can't control it. Yeah. So go inside and apologize and go home. And that's what I did. I went inside and I said to Angie, I'm really sorry for the way I acted tonight. I think I'm just going to get going. And in that moment, it was all cleared up. And so the realization was, oh, I don't have to try and control everything. In fact, that's what I was doing before I came to AA. I was spinning so many plates, trying to maintain everything. And none of it was working. And so here was an example of me letting go, just really letting go of things. And everything worked out. And we've been married for 11 years now, and it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me outside of AA.
So you made me tear up. Don loves it when somebody cries on the podcast, but I'm the one this time. Wow.
Yeah, it's a gift.
So,
she's a gift.
We could keep on talking for a long time. You're a real joy to sit and chat with, but then it would not be the AA Grapevine half-hour variety hour.
Fair enough.
So we're going to wrap up, but thank you so much for being a guest with us.
Thank you so much. It's been great to meet you and great to chat with both of you.
Since the earliest days of Alcoholics Anonymous, many of us have wrestled with what it means to surrender to a higher power. Some of us came in with a clear idea of God, while others leaned towards not God or something we couldn't yet name. That tension has been part of our shared experience from the very beginning. For an upcoming show, we want to explore how members have come to terms with this idea while working the steps. We'd love to hear about your own experience, how you understood surrender early on, how you worked with the idea of a higher power, and how your thinking may have changed over time. Please call 212-870-3418 and leave a message, or write to podcast@aagrapevine.org and leave your contact information. Your experience may be used on the show.
My name's Courtney. I'm an alcoholic in Seattle, Washington. I subscribe to the Grapevine because it's an amazing tool to carry the message. The Grapevine's been around for like 80 years. Like this thing's been going on since like local intergroup, right? It reaches correctional facilities, people in remote communities. And I would take one and I'd put it in my bag and read it in between meetings. It's a really important tool as part of our recovery for me.
If you'd like to support this podcast, visit aagrapevine.org and subscribe in print or subscribe in the Grapevine app.
Want to contribute without receiving a subscription? Visit aagrapevine.org and choose Carry the Message to help provide subscriptions to those in need.
A digital subscription is only $2.99 a month.
$3 a month? Come on.
All right, you ready to have some fun?
The energy and the love that people have for Alcoholics Anonymous.
I've never experienced anything like this.
I didn't know that Alcoholics Anonymous was that big.
I just felt like I was seeing behind the curtain.
We are proud to be part of this journey with you.
And can't you tell I'm having some fun here?
Our Primary Purpose, the official podcast of the General Service Office of Alcoholics Anonymous in the U.S. and Canada, is back for Season 2. This podcast explores how the General Service Office supports the AA groups and members carry the AA message to those who need it most, which is
Our primary purpose.
Primary purpose.
Our primary purpose.
We'll be hearing about the impact of that message.
It's been such a blessing.
Probably wouldn't be here today.
I got 34 pieces of mail from Alcoholics Anonymous that I'd never met.
You're saving lives, and that's incredible work.
From the members who carry it.
I wanted to let other neurodivergents know that this fellowship is open to us.
There's been Asians in Alcoholics Anonymous for a very long time.
Stories from people in the trans community.
We in the deaf community, we rely so much on the visual.
My tribal community, which gave me life. And then the AA fellowship, which saved my life.
And that's just the beginning.
Do things for others expecting nothing in return, just for the act of love of giving and caring for Alcoholics Anonymous.
I think it's great to be a voice for a group of people that you share your life with.
I'm so forever grateful for our General Service Office.
The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it.
AA's there, and we'll find a way to help you do it.
And much, much more. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Our Primary Purpose, the official podcast of the General Service Office of Alcoholics Anonymous, everywhere podcasts can be found, so you can catch our weekly episodes when they begin streaming on March 17th.
I'm at the very wit's end.
A speaker was running late to a meeting. As he got out of the car, he spilled his iced latte down the front of his shirt, and there was no opportunity to change his clothes. He solved the problem when he got to the podium and introduced himself.
Hi, my name is Alonzo, and I have a drinking problem.
It's really not that funny. Thanks for joining us. The AA Grapevine Half-Hour Variety Hour is posted every Monday and is produced by AA Grapevine, Inc. We don't speak for AA as a whole. We share the experience, strength, and hope of members to help others recover from alcoholism. All things Grapevine are available at aagrapevine.org, including our app and how to get in touch with us. Find us on Instagram and YouTube. If you want to know more about AA, visit aa.org or search online for Alcoholics Anonymous and your city.